What is up, YouTube? It's Frank with What's the Point EDC. Today we're going to do a hard use testing on the LT Wright Gen 3 and 01 steel. This is a hefty knife right here, a Kephart style of knife in my opinion. Definitely a very bushcrafty, hefty, hardcore, in the woods type of knife for sure. We're going to have some fun. This is the first LT Wright that I've done on the channel so far, and that's a company that I haven't had the chance to do, and I've been really wanting to get into some of their stuff, so I'm happy to get this one in my hand. And this thing is a certified beast mode knife. Don't let its size fool you. It is hefty, for real hefty. This right here is just a few different ropes we're going to cut. Throughout the test here, we're going to put it through the same testing that we do with other knives. It's kind of like the standardized test for the channel. We're going to cut through some ratchet straps. We're going to baton with it. We're going to chop. We're going to put it through all the testing that it needs to go through. This thing is sharp for real. For real sharp. Watch this. Some of you guys who've been around for a while know there has been knives that will not cut that rope. And this just blows through with no issue. I've used this knife enough over the last couple weeks since I got it that I can tell you guys positively that this handle will be comfortable and you will have a secure grip regardless of what the circumstance is or what you're doing, whether you have gloves on, whether it's cold, whether it's wet, unless you're swinging it really hard. In that case, just put a lanyard on, but this thing is not going to slip out of your hand. It's very hand filling, and it has that almost, it's like the broomstick style of shape that's just meant for the human hand. It just fits like a glove, and it really does fill the hand out. Here's that 1-inch rope of death. Oh yeah, get it done. Let's go ahead and do that again. Sure. Oh, I missed one strand. Let's go ahead and get another one in, why don't we? And then we're gonna get some close-ups of some shots here. This wouldn't be a What's the Point EDC video if it wasn't for these helicopter sounds, all right? I mean, let's just be honest here. Ambulances, fire trucks, cop cars, friggin', you're gonna hear it all. Sister, let me get on this side right here so you guys can see the cut a little bit better. Go ahead and go through there. Let's go ahead and do that again. Look at that knife. That's a sexy looking design right there, ain't it? Definitely is one that I like. Right here we're going to cut through this 2-inch ratchet strap. Nothing serious, just a couple slices to go on through here. Going to cut through a couple times. It's very sharp. Unfortunately, my stand wobbles hardcore, and and it's really soft and chewed up from all the chops and all the times I've slammed the knives into the stand. So it's kind of, I need to resurface is what I need to do, or just get a new one, flip it over, do something. So this is the first LT Wright, and it is also the first knife in 01 steel that I've tested on the channel so far. I don't know a whole lot about LT Wright, but what I do know is that they're an American-made company, that they have a wide range of knives for a wide range of tasks. So one thing I want to say right now is a knife doesn't have to be made in America for it to be a good knife. I see a good knife as a good knife, and that's all it is to it. I don't care where it's made. But There's something about American-made knives that holds a special place in my heart, and I just love them. And it always adds a plus to a knife when it's made in America. Look at that stand wobble like a mug. Good God, I gotta do something about that. You guys know I'm building as we go here. Every time I do something, I get just a little bit better. Check that right there out. I've had a bunch of knives just get bound up with that rubber. That's just a standard bicycle inner tube. Those choke up points right there, they really did come in useful and was very comfortable in this specific grip for this cut right here. I think that they really did come in handy. Today has been an extremely loud day. I'm surrounded by HVAC units and I'm surrounded by landscapers all day nonstop. So you guys are getting voiceovers in certain spots. Certain spots I'm gonna mute it. That's how it's gonna be. Watch this thing eat through this cardboard. I'm gonna tell you right now, this thing really does give some cardboard hell. It's one of them knives that's like a sleeper slicer. You don't think it's gonna slice as good as it really does, because it went through that cardboard like it wasn't nothing. That's that one chop and done right there. This thing's powerful. It really does pack a punch. Go ahead and remove the bark on this. After you remove the bark, we'll actually start to carve and like whittle it down. There it is, a little removal, and here we go. We'll start to whittle it down a little bit. It definitely throws some wood. It digs in, but if you want it to bite in deep, it will definitely bite in deep. It's a little thicker behind the edge, but they did that for a reason, because this is geared more towards the woods, more towards the bushcrafty type of tasks. You know, I don't know a lot about the Kephart design, and I'm not saying that that's what this is, but to me this is inspired by the Kephart, and it has a lot of characteristics of a Kephart that I think, in my opinion. So it shines in the woods, and it really does do good with wood. It really eats through the wood. Right here, I want to say something though. Wow, the spine on this knife will, man, it'll give your thumb absolute hell. It is a true 90-degree spine. You can scrape with it. You can probably throw all the sparks in the freaking world you want with this thing. We're going to go ahead and notch this just a little bit more, kind of just to see how it feels, see if it digs in good. I know there's not going to be any edge rolling or any chipping or any of that stuff like that from this task at all. That's not what we're checking here. We're just seeing how it feels on the hand, seeing how it digs in. There's that crazy ass spine. I think that spine may have an after, like somebody may have 90-degreed it. You know, like, I don't think it came like that. Here, as you can see, it will definitely remove some bark with the spine. I'm telling you guys now, if you needed to do some like really fine shaves, you could do that with the spine of the knife with no issue. And me personally, I would just use the blade for that task. But some people would say you don't want to lose your edge by doing that. You could possibly lose what edge you needed in a survival situation. I'm gonna go ahead and chop a couple of these limbs off real quick. Nothing serious, but check out this piece of wood. This is the knottiest piece of wood that I could find, and it is a little bit seasoned, a little weathered, so it's going to be a tough son of a bitch to get through. And it was. It took over 50 chops, and that's actually surprising considering this is not a true chopper. This isn't even a large fixed blade. This is for real, on the big scheme of things, this is just a mid-size fixed blade. It has good blade stock and it has a tall blade height, so it does have a good amount of power for its size, so it ate through it. But damn if it didn't take some work. Look at how freaking tough this thing is. That's a lot of chops with a badass knife. This was a tough piece of wood, I can tell you that right now. And of course, there's no edge damage. It didn't take any damage at all. Even at the end, it suffered no damage at all. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. Spoiler alert. This thing really took on the challenge with no issue. Check this thing out. A couple more smacks and it'll be through there. Smacks, chops, whatever you want to call it. You can call it freaking wax if you want to. I whacked it 50 times and it came off. Oh, what? Let me stop for somebody reports my ass. So, I do want to mention one thing, and this isn't a negative at all. This is just me talking about the knife. I felt like if I would have chopped any harder at certain times, that the knife would have came out of my hand. And that is not the knife's fault. That is my fault for not using a lanyard. This knife does have a lanyard hole, so I could have used a lanyard for the chops, but I chose not to. Now, with that being said, if I did use the lanyard, that thing would have went through that log a lot faster. You can bet yourself on that. Here's where I just decided I was going to just start removing wood on that stump part right here that we just removed off the bigger part. It definitely eats into this material. It's sharp and it's holding its edge just fine. It doesn't give you any shocks when you're chopping either. That's something that I forgot to mention, was the shocks in your hand. None of that. Right here, when I do the batoning, there's no shocks in my hand, no sudden jolts or anything weird. You know how sometimes you get a knife and it just sends shocks through your hand right into your wrist? Well, this one doesn't do that, and a lot of them don't. It's not very often that I run into a knife that is hella uncomfortable, and this one definitely isn't one. But I just wanted to mention that it's not very often that I come across the knife that I can say I truly was uncomfortable with batoning. And this knife had no issue going through that whatsoever. It definitely has a really tall, like, I think it had a convex from the factory, I'm not sure, but either way, it's got a full flat grind if it doesn't. And with it being a full flat grind, what happens is it has a really tall length to go up, so it kind of separates the wood really good. It's a little bit easy on the separation. You guys know I can't do just one batoning now. I gotta baton several times. I gotta use the new baton and break it in good, right? I mean, damn. The knife has no issue separating this wood at all. The baton's comfortable in hand. I gotta say, I actually carved that out with the Joker Bush Lord. I forgot to upload that video talking about that. I split it down again, and I'm getting ready to hit it near the tip. And as you can see, the tip is definitely going to hold strong, and it's not going to break. It's not going to do anything dumb, no issues at all. It's a good knife. It's definitely a hard use knife. It's definitely something that's driven towards the woods and the bushcraft tasks. Had to put it through its paces real quick. You know, got to have a good bam bam stick. Let's go ahead and debark this thing real quick, and then we'll do as we did last time, and we'll actually shave some wood off, get down into the meat of the wood. Here I do them, I call that the bitch smack chop. The reverse chops. Let me stop it now before I get myself in trouble, for real. That's them reverse chops right there, you know, getting through, no problem at all, just chopping shit up. It really does pack a punch for what it is, doesn't it? Just watch this thing go to town. Listen to it. It hits hard. And I'm not swinging really hard. I'm really not. And if I put a lanyard on there, shoo, listen. Now, if I go any harder, the knife might come out of my hand in some of these chops that I'm doing. So I got to be careful with what I'm doing, though, you know. I don't want to chuck the knife out of my hand somewhere. Check it out. Look at that. Bye-bye. Oh, hell yeah, you know it's tip test time now. When you see the 2x4 come out, you know it is officially tip test time. We're going to start off a little bit light, and then we'll work our way up. We will do a little bit of prying with it, see how it feels before we start going stupid with it. This is not my knife, so I'm going to be extra careful, even though I know for sure that this tip is stout. It will not break from a little bit of prying that I'm going to do with it, that's for sure. And I do want to note this now. I will tip test every knife differently. I'm not going to tip test this knife the same way I would tip test, let's say, a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, or we'll say something along the lines of like the Bark River Gunny Sidekick. I'm just not going to tip test them the same way. I'm going to start to really crank on this thing and slam it down a little bit right here. In just a second, you'll see me actually cranking on it. I wouldn't do that with just any knife, but I feel secure with this knife. As I've said a couple times now, this is geared towards harder use tasks, kind of geared towards the bushcraft style stuff where you're going to be using the tip to drill, possibly, where you may be using the tip to pry up on some wood to make notches and whatnot. So I kept that in mind the whole time, knowing that it shouldn't have an issue, and it didn't have an issue at the end. As you guys can see, it came out just fine. The entire edge is perfect from tip to heel. Okay, it's time to go ahead and do a paper cut test. Will it cut the paper? I should have cleaned the blade off. Now that I've done this, it does catch in two places. I have since cleaned it after filming the video and after doing this paper cutting, and it slices with zero issue. I didn't even have to put it on the strop. Understand that. So, as I said, this is my first time using 01 steel, and it's my first time using an LT Wright knife. From what I got and what I've gathered from this knife alone, everything seems to be solid. I hadn't had any issues with any breakouts, no rolls, no nicks, no chips, no damage at all. There was no weird vibrations in the knife. It seems to be very well made. I'm pretty sure the heat treatment is right where it needs to be. It's a very good looking knife, and I gotta say, the micarta, it is freaking fire. I like their micarta. It's different than any micarta I've used so far. Definitely a solid knife. It's one that I'll recommend if you're somebody looking for a stout mid-size fixed blade, you know, something kind of on the hard use line, something you want to use in the woods, a Kephart style, in my opinion, type of knife. A bruiser, one that you can really be hard on and not have to worry about things. This might be the knife for you. This is the LT Wright Gen 3, if I haven't already said that 10 times, in 01 steel. I don't know if they make it in other steels or not, but I do know that this right here is a solid knife, and I can recommend this to anybody out there, that's for sure. At times, I did think that there was a chance it could come out of my hand when I was swinging really hard, but that's what the lanyard holds for, and slap a lanyard on there and that won't be an issue at all. These knives right here are freaking just performing knives. They feel good. They're hefty too, and you get that reassuring feeling in your hand. As you guys just seen, it definitely still cuts paper after that right there. I'm a fan of LT Wright knives. You know, if they make everything as good as this right here, I'm a fan of their stuff. I'll say that right now. This is a really good knife. I've been using this a lot, and I've found it useful for a lot of things. I've done some food prep with it, not too much, but I have done some with it. Definitely a fun knife. Wow, you guys should see all the stuff all over the blade that's caked on there. I'm surprised they actually cut the paper with all that on there. Maybe, oh yeah, I can see where it was catching right here from that paper. Yep, all the dirt all over. It's okay though. Shout out to Timbo 437 for making this one happen. This is another one that he sent right here. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot more to come. You guys just don't know. This thing's a beast. There's so many more to come. If you enjoy this type of stuff, check out Timbo's Instagram and his YouTube channel. This is his collection, so you know he's got the heat. He's going to be bringing more videos. He's been doing a bunch of chopping stuff lately, so check him out. I'm going to put a link to his Instagram and YouTube in the description. Hit him up. Tell him What's the Point EDC sent you. I appreciate everybody out there. You guys are freaking awesome. You guys are inspiration to me. You guys keep me going. Fist bump to you. Check it out. Last thing, if you're an addict, never quit quitting. Stay strong and live long. If you're struggling with bad thoughts, reach out and talk to somebody. It is okay to talk. Never quit quitting and never give up. Take it easy and stay greasy, y'all. Peace. LT Wright Gen 3.